This idea of Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey, the primary protagonist in these stories is a hero, but they normally are warriors. And I think that this is important because in our culture there is an emasculation going on with the masculine, and I just don't mean in males. In depth psychology, there's the feminine and masculine in every person as far as their complete psyche. And so it seems like one of the major issues that we have is that we're not allowed to toughen up. We're not allowed to face things as they are. We have insurance to make sure that if something happens to our car, that's taken care of. We've got medical insurance, as though somehow that means that we're never going to get sick. You're not allowed to discipline your children. There's so many different things that are happening in our culture. And so I really feel the time that we're in, that understanding your particular individual mission in life, which I believe is the hero's journey, requires an introduction to warriorship. It requires us to access energies that we probably have never even considered before. Or we think that the only way a person can be truly spiritual is if they are a priest of some type of organization. Or if someone is going to be a warrior, the few peoples who are actually fighters, they have to have been born with that certain physiological trait that makes them want to go train in a particular martial art, whether it's MMA, whether it's being a soldier in the army, anything like that. We have these misconceptions that the hero's journey requires something of us that only a few people have the prerequisites to accomplish. I would say once again that those are our limitations as modern men and women, and how we deal with everything as factual and everything as temporal, as opposed to the power of metaphor, which I think this is what Joseph Campbell is trying to release. And without this type of direct, tough talk, not sugarcoating it, you have to be able to take a punch. You have to be able to deal with your fear and stay in the battle. That's all there is to it. And yet everything in our culture is pushing us to Barney voices, and if you're old enough, Mr. Roger voices or Captain Kangaroo, and you have to qualify everything. Well, I didn't mean that, but what I'm saying is, it's none of that. It just is what it is. If you're gonna go fight, you fight. You don't sit there and make rules and figure out what the Geneva Convention is talking about when the spirit world and this world converge on you and demand that you take accountability for your physical and spiritual life. It's a battle. Our society has rendered the warrior in us impotent. Instead of dealing with the spiritual function of the warrior, we have adapted what would be virtues into maladaptive behaviors. These behaviors range from road rage, the high levels of divorce, because now we're attacking our spouse, It would be drug and alcohol abuse, child abuse. There's a number of social ills where the warrior in us completely lashes out and gets nowhere. The good thing about these type of maladaptive behaviors is that they actually show where the warrior's gold is in each one of us. The warrior in us is actually pointing to this idea that our soul is dying, and there are principalities and spiritual forces that are arrayed against it, and that it needs to become a warrior and overcome those. But see, now you're dealing with metaphor, or we call it a metaphor, but it actually is substantially real. The unconscious, the spirit world, whatever you want to call it, the death of the soul, even while our physical body is intact, is serious. It has serious ramifications, and it's something that needs to be dealt with. Our motivations for living seem to be based completely on reactions. Reactions of what the outside is telling us, what the outside culture is telling us, who we are and what we are. And the idea of metaphor, or this spiritual world that I keep referring to, is that from this inner depth, we gain knowledge of who we are and what we are, and that informs our decision-making processes. That informs our purpose. And so therefore we don't need the external world to tell us who we are. And so we affect the outer world, our community, our family, our friends. The expansion of our consciousness can only happen when we tear down the walls of our ego from the inside out. This is the beauty of the hero's journey in metaphor. There's a good chance that the authority figures in your life, or the gatekeepers, are actually projections of your inability to wrestle with the fact that you are supposed to be an adult and not be a dependent. The authority figures in your life, whether you despise or love them, are in all actuality the very gatekeepers that you must overcome. the great thing about becoming a warrior is that though it seems that fate is acting against you, and it seems that you are all alone, it's quite the opposite. What's happening is that your culture that you're in has a limited conscious construction of what it is, and therefore it tries to keep everyone within that culture in that limited prescription. And so what happens is all of the other potentialities, numerous potentialities, are restricted, or they're cut off. And this is why there's this kind of schizophrenic or neurotic function of the American citizen. And so where do all of those unconscious forces go? Well, the spirit world takes them and is dreaming them. It's the actual people who are trying to keep everything in a safe, homogenized form are the very people that are unconsciously calling the warrior to action. So the beauty of it is though it seems that they're against you and you're against them, they've actually called you to go on the hero's quest to find the magic that can heal them of their fears, so they can expand and they can become free of the fears that torment them.